Hello everyone and welcome back to another holiday card series. Today I'm using 3 different Peerless watercolors. These are pigmented little swatches filled with ink that are watercolors. So I'm using a piece of Tim Holtz Distress watercolor cardstock, and I'm putting a little bit of water on my nonstick craft sheet, and then I'm just going to pick up the color, and you can see how vibrant and pigmented that color is. These are absolutely gorgeous watercolors. I like to use them for my backgrounds, and they're also really easy to use and to blend. So you can see I'm just picking up more of that color and blending it onto my background. I'm coloring the top portion with the lightest color. So after I add some more water to my craft sheet, I'm going to go in and take one of the darker colors and then add that to the middle. So you just get your brush wet a little bit and then pick up that color from the swatch. And then I'm also going to use the darkest color and add that towards the bottom. I'm going to be covering up the farthest bottom part on my card, so I don't really need to color the entire thing in. So I'm just blending these together, and I'm using a swiping motion from left to right so that it looks like that in my background. Because this background is going to be my sky. So once I get this all colored in, I'm going to go ahead and take my heat tool and dry it completely. And then I can move on to my next step. I have the Falling Snow stencil from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to place this over my background and then tape it down with a little bit of washi tape. And then I'm using the white embossing paste, and I'm just going to put some of this on my palette knife and then spread it all over this stencil. Since this is a smaller stencil and it doesn't have as much open space, you don't need very much embossing paste at all. So I'm just applying this to make sure that I get all of those holes covered, and then I can scrape off all of the excess and put it right back into my jar, because you don't want to waste any of this embossing paste. It's such good stuff. And then I'm going to set this aside and let it dry completely. So the images I'm using on this card are from Newton's Nook. I'm going to stamp this image on a piece of Coordination's 110-pound cardstock with my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. You can find all the supplies I'm using on this card linked below or on my blog if you're interested in seeing them. And then I'm also going to stamp in the little Santa hat. While I have the stamps and ink out, I cut this hill that's going to go on the bottom of my card, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment right on the bottom. It says, "Meowie Christmas." Then I can go ahead and color in my images with my Copic markers. So as many of you know, I have a Siamese cat, so I like to color in all the cat images that I stamp like a Siamese. So to do this, I'm starting with the E31, which is brick beige, and I'm coloring in the entire head on the cat. Then I'm going to do something super scary and color in with the W7 the whole middle part of the cat's face. I know, it doesn't look very good right now, but I promise it will in a minute. And then I'm going to take the W5 and blend that out. And then I'll take the E35 and blend all of those colors out. And then I'm going to take my E31 once again and just go over everything and make sure that all of those colors are blended smoothly. Then we'll have our little Siamese. So I'm also going to color the ears in with the W7 because my Siamese has dark black ears, as many others do. And I'm also going to color in the tail with this. I'm not using black because I don't want the lines of the cat to disappear, otherwise it's just going to look like a big black blob. I'm also going ahead and coloring in the front paws with that W7, and then I'm taking my E31 and I'm going to color in the rest of the cat's body. I'll then take the E33 and add a little bit of shading to the cat. And then I'm also going to add some darker highlights with the E35 and blend out the paws a little bit. And then I'll take my E31 and blend all of those colors together. I want the scarf to be red and green, so I'm going to start with my green, which is the G28, and I'm going to alternate the stripes. So I'm just going every other one. I'm not going to be doing any blending or shading with these colors, I'm just doing the pure color. It makes it really simple coloring to do. And then for my red, I wanted a darker red, so I'm using the R39. It's called Garnet, so it's not as bright as the lipstick red. It's a little bit more muted and more of a burgundy color. I had to color in the nose with the W7. That was my last step on the cat. So for the hat, I'm going to do the R29, which is that bright lipstick red. I want it to really look like a Santa hat. And then I'm adding a little bit of shading with the R39. And then I'll just blend that out with the R29. Now I can go ahead and assemble my card together. I'm first going to adhere down my Peerless Watercolor background. And I'm adhering this to a piece of white cardstock that I folded in half to make an A2 size card base. And I cut these hills down out of white cardstock, so I'll adhere those down as well. And the one that I also stamped my sentiment on. So to adhere down the cat and its hat, I'm using some 3D foam squares from Best Creation. And once I remove the backings, I can go ahead and place those onto my card. I'm going to place the cat right above my sentiment, then the little hat on its head. And then I want the hills to look snow-covered, so I'm taking this frosted lace stickles and just running it along each of the hills. It's going to help define them and add a little bit of sparkle to my card. I'm also adding a few sequins. These are from Mint Owl Studio. They are the Snowflake Mix. And I'm adhering these down with my multi-medium and matte finish. The last step, I'm going to take my Wink of Stella glitter pen and cover the Santa hat with glitter. And I'll also cover the cat's scarf with some glitter as well. Alright, so that is my finished card for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial with the Copics and the Peerless and also the embossing paste. Make sure that you're subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of my newest videos, and I will see you guys back here next time. Bye!